Actually, what happens now because of global warming and overall pollution and ocean deterioration, fish in ocean is just disappearing. Like there are like a lot of studies which saying that fish grows smaller and longer in the ocean, and also because of overfishing, it's less and less.
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a rating. And now, here's your host, Sylvan.
A very well welcome to the Swisspreneur Show. Today we have two people on the podcast. We have Constantin, the founder and CEO at Kidemis, as well as Jean, the CTO at Kidemis. And Kidemis is a company that basically produces mycoprotein disruption for aquaculture, or actually helps to fix that. What that exactly is and how you guys came up with the idea, this is exactly what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes. Before we dive in, a very well welcome to both of you. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Constantin, you founded the company, and I just wonder what actually motivated you to start Kidemis in the first place?
Actually, like we have met with Sean like long before starting Kidemis, and then probably 1 year ago, like we had a discussion, what could we do together? And we have been looking overall at the, let's say, mushroom or fungi space. And then we have been looking at different applications, different possibilities. And surprisingly, first we start thinking about human food, human applications. And then, when we go along, we explore the market, we looked at opportunities, we look at possibilities, what's possible to do. We discovered this big and huge pressing issue which exists in our food value chain, where actually our solution with mycelium could make a real, tangible and scalable change. And here where we came with Sean and say, okay, let's try to do it. Let's have the company. Let's roll. And now 1 year after, actually, I'm surprised how far we went, but it happened.
Fantastic. And Jean, often when we talk about the timing, there is either some regulations that change or a technological advancement that makes the timing ideal to actually build a company in this very moment. Is that also the case at Kidemis, that there's some technological advancement that makes the timing ideal for you to be working on this right now?
Yes, absolutely. And that technological advancement actually is relating to solid state fermentation, which is what we're really focusing on. So in a nutshell, when fermentation has been performed for a really long time, for decades, the go-to solution has been really liquid fermentation, where you essentially you have a nutrient broth. It's in a nutshell sugary water, and then your organism grows in this sugary water. But it has advantages, disadvantages. We see a lot of disadvantages in this, and we see an opportunity to really advance this space by focusing on solid fermentation. And solid fermentation is characterized by the absence of free liquid. So of course we also have some amount of liquid, but it's really not, like sugar water. So this allows us to incorporate a lot more resources that previously were really difficult to integrate in this fermentation. For example, the sidestreams that we work with. So we work with agricultural sidestreams that our organism grows on. For example, stuff like spent coffee grounds, hulls from dehulling processes. So a lot of low value substrates that we then present to our organism that can grow on it. And this is really the fermentation taking place there. And this is really a huge breakthrough in terms of fermentation technology. And I believe the time is really right now for this to shine.
Fantastic. And I wonder, Constantin, can you also quantify the need for a change? Why should you actually tackle aquaculture or fishing as an overall general application for your technology, for your solution at Kidemis?
Thank you, Sylvan. This is actually a very interesting question because it touches big things. So first, let's start from let's say philosophical or base concept. Actually, what happens now because of global warming and overall pollution and ocean deterioration, fish in ocean is just disappearing. Like there are like a lot of studies which saying that fish grows smaller and longer in the ocean. And also because of overfishing, it's less and less. And the only logical exit out of this situation is to develop farmed fish. Yeah, just to go and say, hey guys, let's farm the fish. And technologically, we have like a lot of solutions how it can be done. And we can develop fish farms inland, in the ocean. But actually, the showstopper is the diet of this farmed fish because 40% of their diet is actually another fish. And we come into this catch-22. We are saying, hey guys, let's grow fish in the farms to save fish in the ocean. And then we catch more fish in the ocean to feed the fish in the farms. And because of all this process, it goes so inefficiently that actually, for example, when you go to Migros or Coop and you buy 1 kilogram of farmed salmon, you indirectly kill or responsible of killing probably like 10 other fishes or something around these numbers. Like this one angle. Second angle, like if you look at the global numbers, like farmed fish now consumes tens of millions of tons per year of this other fish from the ocean. And actually, this other fish from the ocean is more or less like fish biomass, and it actually is in the middle of ocean food chain. And by catching this, the smaller fish, like some smaller organism, we destroy overall food chain in the ocean, or food pyramid, which puts ocean at a threat. And the numbers are huge. If you think about us as civilization extracting tens of millions of tons of live animals from the sea each year, just imagine the damage. And when we look at the numbers, the global aquafeed market is already 80 billions, and then it continues to grow with probably like 7 to 8% CAGR. And as I said, like 30 to 40% of this is this fish meal, actually, this fish biomass. So we're actually addressing the market, which is like 20 to 25 billions globally. And the market players are desperately looking to replace this fish meal just because they have so much pressure. It's supply crisis, it's a sustainability crisis, and we need to find solutions urgently because the situation is deteriorating actually with every day.
So we understand the problem is not only very relevant but also very big to solve. And to tackle this together, you of course also need a team to work on it and improve things. Sean, I wonder, what experience does your team, including yourself, bring to the table to make a change here?
Good question. So we are 3 co-founders, Constantin in the role of CEO, myself in the role of CTO, and then we have John Erickson for business development and finance. And I think we really cover a huge area of expertise in this combination as co-founders. We're a really strong team. Regarding your question on my background, so I actually spent a good decade in the cannabis industry, both on the manufacturing side and on the brand building side, but mostly on the manufacturing side. Previously, I was in charge of manufacturing cannabis products from CBD oils, you name it, all sorts of cannabis extract derivatives. So I have a really strong understanding of manufacturing technologies as well as processing technologies in general. Plus, the fungi have been somewhat of a passion of mine for something like, 20 years now. Since I've been, teenager, I've been growing mushrooms and still do. And so this is a body of knowledge that has accumulated over these decades in this topic that is also merging now with this expertise gathered in concrete industry application. So this is really kind of for me a really nice project to finally bring this passion into a concrete application that has such a high impact.
Wonderful. You really have the dream team together. Constantin, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, and just I would like to add that there are three co-founders. Yeah, like my background is in economics and business development, and like we really trying to action and or introduce a little bit different business model. So actually, we rely on ecosystem and overall on stakeholder approach, and that's why we're able to achieve a lot with relatively small team because we also rely on our stakeholders. And we build ecosystem which consists of our research partners. And our research partners is in particular is Bern University of Applied Science and agricultural division, which is based in Solikofen. And also they have Aquaforum, which is one of the best aquatic animals research facility in Switzerland. And of course, we have a lot of help from bigger team, from professors and people with a lot of fundamental knowledge. Then we also build ecosystem of our industrial partners because when I speak big, I say, hey, we really would like to go like millions of tons, and how three guys could execute it. Like we really have a very good partners, industrial partners. One of which is Tetra Laval, and Tetra Laval fundamentally believes in solid state fermentation technology, and they really help us a lot in developing the technology. And just because of them, we're sure we are able to execute it like on industrialized level. And of course, we're like so blessed to be in Switzerland, also we are blessed to be in Canton of Bern, because Canton and overall Swiss startup ecosystem gives us a lot of support. We got all possible prizes, awards, help, so we cannot complain. Yeah. So this is our execution plan, rely on ecosystem, but also bring stronger people to our team with time being.
And you also mentioned at the beginning, Constantin, that you are not surprised, but just proud to how far you have come in just 1 year. So what are some of the most important milestones that you reached together as a team and as a company so far?
I am humble to say I am proud. That's why I'm saying I'm surprised. Like in reality, like if you really think of what we do, like we start with producing like grams, milligrams, like in laboratory conditions 1 year ago, and then we have been developing our technology, and on production side we are now have been able to produce hundreds of kilograms, and we now like that's why we have this seed round. Would like to ramp up our production to tons. Yeah, this on our production side. Then we have a product. We need to validate it by the market, and the best way to validate in our case is to give it to customers, and our customers are fishes in this particular application. And we just cannot give it to fishes in the river or in the pond. Like this should be like super scientific. We also need scientific data. And for me, it was quite a surprise that because in the end, like you could compare our product almost like to drug development in pharmacy industry. So which means you need to do clinical trials, you need to do like some scientific like control groups and everything. You need state permission to do this. And actually, like for me, like we got permission from cantonal veterinary authority, like I think in December, and which allows us to put fish in the tanks. So, but imagine like if you compare us to drug development company and you come with idea 1 year ago, and in 12 months, you have your patients or your clients who are trying your product. And this is like super scientific. It's authorized by government. Government believes in this technology, or at least in safety of this technology. And we have first trials, which like, wow, like, this is like miracles. And this allows us to move much faster, to have validation, like also to test functionality. And I really would like Sean to address a little bit a very like interesting spin which we have on functionality.
Yeah, if you look at fungi in a natural ecosystem, they have the role of the protector. They provide immunity services to the plants. So I don't want to go all too detailed, but in a nutshell, really the roots are connected through mycelium, and the mycelium is absolutely critical to enable the the immune system of a plant. So when a plant is under attack, it does actually signal in some form to the fungi, to the mycelium, hey, I got this bug here, give me something to get rid of it. And the mycelium pumps up, something that does the job. And, it's not by accident that we've been able to extract a lot of, antibiotics, for example, from fungi. They're a very valuable source of pharmaceutical drugs, particularly antibiotics, because of this function. So in a lot of traditional medicinal systems, fungi are also well recognized in this function as immunity enhancers. And interestingly enough, this really doesn't stop at mammals or plants. It also extends to fish or marine animals in general. And so besides the nutritional profile, which is, it's the main thing we focus on, right? It's a fish meal replacement. So we care about, amino acid content. We care about the protein content. But besides that, what's really interesting is this functional immunity enhancing property. And, here you got a couple of classes of compounds that are responsible for this. You have some bioactive polysaccharides, you have beta-glucans, you have certain acids, phenols that are responsible for this kind of immunomodulatory effect. And so we're really focused on including this in the feed as well, to have this dual kind of effect. On the one side, the nutritional effect, and on the other side, this health enhancing effect. And as you may have heard, in artificial fish cultivations, in aquaculture, the health management is a major topic besides this feed issue. But it's difficult and always a constant ongoing battle to keep your aquatic animals healthy. So focusing on that it's a real major thing we want to develop, to have a really a contribution to the health management in aquafarm.
I love that. And Constantin, I loved the analogy that you said, hey, the fish are actually our users or our customers to a certain degree. But on the other hand, the fishes are not the ones that will actually pay you the money to use your solution. So how does your business model work? Who will be the actual customers that will pay you money?
This is also a very good question. Probably we should start from it, because in the end, everything rotates around money. But again, for us, it's a little bit also mission driven. So from my experience, also Sean's experience, and John, third co-founder, like we had several startups also in the consumer business, and John is coming from P&G, Procter & Gamble, one of the biggest consumer companies. And actually, at a certain point, we sat together and say, hey guys, let's never go and work with consumers directly, because you have so much risk and you need so much resources to educate consumers, to convince consumers, to keep them loyal. So in the end, we decided to go pure business to business model. So what we do, we sell our ingredient to global operators of aquafeed. And what is interesting, so I said that market is around 80 billions, but it's controlled by probably 1,000 global players. And they're like Biomar, Cargill, Scrating, Alltech, Ridley. So imagine 10 companies control this huge market, which actually makes our business model so lean that we don't need marketing expenses. For us, we are able to do this via our network, and we already have this contact with these big players. They are super interested in our solution. So we just, reach out to them. 3-4 clients will make to us several hundred million tickets potentially. Yeah. So, and our business model is B2B, really focused on, B2B transactions. But also, if you look at this, it's also commoditized B2B. So because our input is also more or less a commodity. So we buy them from homogeneous, from centralized supply, and we also sell our product as ingredient. We sell it more or less as commodity. So you also could compare our business, let's say something like you discover oil field, yeah. Then you prove you have oil there. Then you build the oil rig and you start pumping, and you sell it as commodity. And commodity B2B business is beautiful because you could sell your product at any time for market price. And so far, because of the crisis of supply, market price is going up, which plays in our side, of course. But good thing, you don't need marketing. You just need supply and production. And this is how our model is built. Commoditized B2B.
Sounds almost too easy to be true. And I wonder, along the journey that you have been so far, I'm sure there were also some challenges that you had to overcome. Maybe I start with you, Sean. What were some of the toughest or the toughest challenge that you had to overcome so far?
For me, it's about technology and technological development. And the toughest challenge in this space is to find a combination between, economy of production and yield. This is what it's really all about. We're trying to produce as much as possible of our mycelium in the shortest amount of time at the lowest cost. And finding a balance between these factors of, a system that gives you enough parametric control, but we don't want to go all the way into, fully fledged bioreactor systems. This is the reason in the first place why we don't go liquid fermentation. So it does give us this space to create a kind of a novel fermentation platform, and developing this has really been extremely exciting, keeps being exciting, but it's also the biggest challenge to really make this work, not only in the lab, but also in the commercial scale.
Wonderful. And Constantine, another challenge can be for startups, but doesn't have to be, fundraising. You are currently raising funds yourself for Kidemis. Can you tell us a bit more about how much money that you're looking for and how these funds will be used?
So indeed, it could be a challenge, and it is a challenge because now we have a time when venture capital and other sources of funding, they are like becoming a little bit cautious. They also go on this vicious cycle. Hey, we now expect much higher returns because we lost so much money before. And actually, but this goes in vicious loops, because if you demand too much return, in the end you get unrealistic projects because people just say, "Oh, like I give you whatever you want." So we're like based on real production. It's not something virtual. And I have to admit that we have been spoiled in a good way, with a lot of government support, with a lot of support from different grants and different other sources of financing. And now we open our seed round to scale up our movement from lab to a pilot production. So our seed round is 1.5 million. Around 30 to 35% of this is already committed by different sources. We also recently won Venture Kick Stage 3, which also opens up our access to Kick Fund, which presents overall envelope of financing of around 1 million Swiss francs. And now we're really thinking that for us, it's also important to spread knowledge of what we do, because the topic is interesting, but unfortunately, awareness of general public is not so high. That's actually why we love to cooperate with you guys, with Swisspreneur, because we would like to have people like private investors who believe in this vision, because they will become also our ambassadors, and they do something good also we do something good all together, not for somebody, but more itself for us. And for what this money will be spent, actually, we have this transition from lab to, let's say, we call it garage production, and next step is pilot plant. And for garage production, we need some resources actually to scale up our production to tons. Yeah. And money will be spent. Some of it will go to R&D to fine-tune our product. Some of this will go in equipment to do this production, and also in this experimental equipment, which Sean mentioned, that this is actually our biggest challenge, which we sure will solve, but it requires some resources, some experiments, some ins and outs. And Sean, probably you will add a little bit on the R&D, because actually you will be the biggest spender for this money.
Indeed. No, we can't buy off-the-shelf solution. So everything we do is to some extent custom made. I mean, of course, not entirely from scratch, but really the core of it is a custom equipment. And as you can imagine, it takes a lot of research to develop this, to optimize it, to really get all the ins and outs of it, and actually make this happen. And when you scale it, of course, you're faced with a lot of challenges of scale up effects, and translating something from the lab to a commercial scale is never a linear kind of straightforward kind of endeavor. It's a curveball endeavor. You always have effects that you didn't account for. You need to modify. And so really the R&D budget is where certainly a lot of funds will have to flow to make this happen at scale.
Great. And we're also very excited to partner up with you. So anyone who is excited or curious to learn more about your case, I recommend them to sign up for the Syndicate Deal Flow newsletter so they can have a look at your material that you prepared and do their own due diligence to maybe become a part of your journey. Really excited to have you on board for this one. And to wrap up the conversation with you guys, I have some short rapid fire questions just to get a bit more information about you as a person, how you tick and what you've done in the past. Let me start with you, Sean. What was your summer job as a teenager?
My summer job as a teenager, I was a journalist.
Wow, that's cool. And Constantine, what are you most proud of in your life?
Actually, it's not a surprise. I'm very proud that finally, I did several startups. I was working at the World Economic Forum. I lived in different countries. And for me, this project, Kidemis, is actually a culmination of what we do, because finally I could put all my experience and all my learnings and also mistakes to this thing, which has a potential to do real change. And I enjoy ocean, I enjoy everything about water, and I really would like this to be safe, clean, and prosper. So I am proud of what I'm doing right now, but I'm also proud of things which I did before, because these things brought me here.
Exactly. And the last one is for both of you. Let's start with Sean again. What is a surprising fact that people don't know about you, or most people don't know about you?
That's a good question. I guess I'm really into music. Music is my big passion. Besides, when I'm not working, I'm playing music. I'm really into classical guitar, and that's if I'm not at work, I'm playing guitar.
Wonderful. What is it for you? What is your surprising fact, Constantine?
Not a lot of people know, but I really like all things spiritual, and self-development. And probably surprising fact, like I was 3 times in Tibet, and doing really high altitude, let's say trekking around Everest and around the highest mountains, and
Fantastic. So cool. Constantine, Sean, thank you so much for your time today. We're excited to see your case going live very soon. And I wish you all the best and lots of success with the upcoming fundraising. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sylvain. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Sylvain.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you can support us by rating our show on Apple Podcasts. This way, we can reach an ever-growing number of aspiring entrepreneurs.